Welcome to the Carooze Lifestyle.
Hi folks, welcome to the Carooze Lifestyle. This is our very first show, and in this one I'm just going to introduce you to myself, so you can find out a bit more about me, what the show's about, and what we plan on doing in future episodes. So we'll see how we go. Alright, a little bit about me. I started in the industry. I actually worked for a little airline called East West Airlines. I started in the mid, dare I say it, 1980s. I'm showing my age, a few sort of wrinkles. But I sort of worked in telephone sales, reservations as they called it back then. We went through various times like pilots disputes and air traffic controller disputes and things like that. So it was an interesting time in the industry to start off. And actually from there moved to British Airways for a couple of years. And I've sort of had a whole range of things even before, I guess, getting involved in the cruise industry. Just around travel, I guess, a very holistic, I guess, experience, working for airlines, travel agents, hotels, CRS companies, which is like the reservation systems that a lot of travel agents and things use. So I've sort of been around for quite a while. In terms of my personal cruising, my first cruise back in 1989, I did a small ship cruise in Alaska. It was a very small ship, overnight little cruise through Prince William Sound, which was from Whittier, which is out sort of past Anchorage, up to Valdez, which is sort of up towards Fairbanks, and then sort of went up and did Denali and all that sort of thing. So it was a wonderful experience. But the overnight was through Prince William Sound. So for those that sort of remember back that far, there was a huge oil tanker ran aground in Prince William Sound. Exxon Valdez, I think, was the name of the ship, and major ecological sort of damage. So we actually cruised through that area. It was probably a couple of years after that incident happened. It was just a beautiful, spectacular part of the world. It was just amazing to see, and there's some sort of photos, I guess, that we're sort of showing you that from that cruise. It was just a wonderful experience, and anyone that wants to do Alaska, do it, but do a one-way cruise. So cruise out of either Seattle or Vancouver up the Inside Passage. Do a land tour after that. Just head up into the Mount McKinley National Park and all that sort of thing. If you can tack that on, well worth it. Beautiful part of the world. First family cruise, well, first like ocean-going cruise, I guess, was on a ship called Southern Cross, which was operating out of Sydney, run by CTC Cruises in those days. Bit of a South Pacific cruise. We thought it was quite big at the time, but it's very small ship by today's standards. Lots of Russian influence with your waiters and all that sort of thing, and we did things like skeet shooting off the back of the ship. I think they even did fishing, I can't remember, but anyway, it was wonderful experience. And South Pacific, as we still visit these days, up to Vanuatu and places around there. But yeah, I sort of got hooked. That was sort of back in early 1990s. And then first real family cruise was on Sun Princess, cruising across the top of Australia from Perth to Sydney, or Fremantle to Sydney, and that was just a wonderful experience. We had two young kids at the time. I think they were only about 5 and 8 years of age. Loved the kids club. Great cruise to start off if you haven't done a lot of cruising before. Just coming into a cruise like that, you're sort of visiting ports every day or every other day. So not too many sort of sea days, and it gives you a good opportunity just to, I guess, get used to the cruising experience. And yeah, you're sort of at port every other day, but you still get the experience of cruising. And then once you've done that, you could sort of venture further out and go somewhere where you've got 2-3 days cruising and sort of ease yourself into the lifestyle of actually sort of doing a cruise. So that's a great one to start off. And that was actually quite a long one. That was actually 18 nights across the top of Australia, and great time of year. So we sort of left around late August, early September. So we're still sort of starting early spring, I guess, in the southern parts around Perth and all that sort of thing, and then sort of heading up into the warm weather across the top. So just beautiful. Lots of whales, lots of ocean life as you're out at sea. It's whale migration, all that sort of thing, and plus seeing some of the best parts of Australia. So it was awesome. All right. So when did I first start getting involved in cruising? So yeah, very early on, I was a travel agent at the time. I was running my own business and looking to, I guess, specialise in something. And cruising was one thing that I had been interested in from very early on, from the experiences I'd had years ago. And so it was something that I sort of looked at more and more. And Australia was starting to, I guess, open up a little bit more in terms of cruising. So, I mean, P&O had been here for many years and doing a wonderful sort of thing, but there was starting to be a few other sort of cruise lines that were coming in a bit more regularly and having seasons here over the summer months. And the ships were starting to, I guess, be a little bit more modernised from some of the old sort of steamships of old. So, yeah, it was something that sort of interested me, and I actually got involved with CLIA, which is the Cruise Lines International Association, although there used to be ICCA, which was the International Cruise Council of Australia, I think it was, back in those days, and they had a whole sort of series of training and things. So I started doing the training and started getting to know some of the representatives from various cruise lines and getting on board, having a look over their ships and just sort of, I guess, getting an idea of what cruising was about. And when you first step on a cruise ship, it's like, wow, look at this is amazing. So that sort of got me hooked very early on, and then I sort of became a specialist cruise agent, just selling and promoting cruise above other things, and also sort of packaging in airfares and hotels and things. But cruise was the mainstay of the business. So yeah, that's I guess where I got started, and then it sort of developed from there. So I did a lot of training with CLIA, and they have a very sort of structured program that you can actually get involved in as a travel agent in those days. A very structured program you can actually get in with very structured training mixed around personal cruise experience and on board sort of inspections and things like that were arranged a lot through the industry. So I gained a lot of knowledge and I guess experience from that mix of classroom training, onboard experience, and personal holidays. So that's where I got started. So I actually started getting more involved in cruise lines, and I actually started in a role where I was helping people get on and off their cruise holidays. So we actually had a small team that was contracted to a lot of the cruise lines, and we actually had Pier 8, I think it was, at Darling Harbour in those days before White Bay was built. And I actually became part of the team that actually got people on and off the ship. So embarkation and what they call debarkation or disembarkation. So basically, go to the cruise terminal for the day, you'd help people off in the morning, and then get the next lot on in the afternoon. So most days you're dealing with, well, I guess by the time I got to the last couple of years, ships 3,500 people. So you're dealing with 3,500 off and 3,500 on. So you're dealing with anywhere up to 7,000 or 8,000 people a day, helping them get off the ship and get on the ship as well. So, peak season that involves 5, 6, 7 times a week. Sometimes I was working, 13 days out of 14, just various ships that were coming into the harbour. So a lot of experience there, and that sort of involves anything from helping people off with wheelchairs to helping people on with wheelchairs, but doing cash on board some of the Carnival ships, where people were putting cash deposits on their onboard account, so we had a desk set up there as well. To anything, meet and greet, just getting people as they come to the terminal, just telling what you need to do. Your bags go over here, just need these health forms, just head through and we'll get you checked in, sort of thing. So there's a whole bunch of roles and things there, and you're coordinating between yourselves and customs and the baggage people and security and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of involvement. So a lot goes into an embarkation day on the ship, and the ship's doing their cleaning and things between cruises. So there's a lot involved there. I also had a lot of involvement with visiting ships. So there's a lot of ships that don't necessarily, as you know, I'm based in Sydney. There's a lot of ships that don't necessarily start and end their cruise in Sydney. There's a lot of ships that, particularly during summer months, that visit Sydney on their way around Australia, the South Pacific, all around the world. And a lot of those are probably your high-end ships, like your Silver Seas, your Seabourns, your Cunards, your Azamaras and things like that. So a lot of my involvement was with, or has been, till we get started again. Haven't started yet, but until we get started after the pandemic. But a lot of those ships have shore excursion programs. So they'll come and visit. Let's talk Sydney, because that's where I'm based. They'll visit, and people get off and they'll want to go see, the Harbour Bridge. They want to go see, do a bridge climb. They want to go up to the Blue Mountains. They want to go, here, there and everywhere. And there's a lot of organised programs that the ships have for those people to get out and see. So my role has been to coordinate on the ground when people get off the ship to actually head off on their excursion. So coordinating the coaches, group 1 over to this coach, we'll get you on, we've got the numbers, we'll send you off. So a lot of my role has been that, with a lot of the ships, like your Cunards, your P&O UKs, your Azamaras and Silver Sea, Seabourn, Crystal, a lot of those sort of ships. So great experience. Absolutely loved it, and some of the ships and some of the people that I've worked with have been absolutely fantastic, and it's been a great experience, and hopefully will continue to be a great experience once we sort of get back up and running. So if you've been to Sydney, or if you've taken a cruise in Sydney, you may have seen my ugly noggin around, and hopefully I'll be back once we get back here in Sydney as well. So yeah, that's sort of my experience with cruising, so both travel agent and with the ships themselves. So a lot of wealth of knowledge, I guess, built up over those years, and made a lot of contacts and things like that. And it's just an industry like no other. Absolutely love it. What we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do with this, is actually just bring together that knowledge that I've built and the contacts that I've had with people in and outside the industry that are related back to cruising, is just to, I guess, inform, entertain and help you in your cruising experience. So that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily about me, although I sort of front the program, I guess, a little bit, but just trying to coordinate those little pieces together and have conversations with people, learn a bit more about them and what they do and how it all fits in, as well as look at some of the destinations around the world and tips and tricks to help you with your cruising experience. So that's basically what we're all about, and just having a bit of fun along the way. So yeah, look, I guess that's me. I guess in summary, I've been in and around the cruise industry in various forms for almost 10 years at the actual cruise terminals, and then another 10 years before that working as a retailer and training up in cruise and specialising in cruise, and then right back to my first little cruise in 1989. So I've been involved and been interested in cruising for a long time now, and it still excites me. It's such a dynamic industry. It's such a great industry to be involved in, and I've loved every minute of it, and I still do. And hopefully with this show I can just sort of bring everything together and get you guys enthusiastic as well. I really look forward to meeting some of the people we're going to have conversations with, and just presenting some of the content from days gone by, and also from now. So hope you enjoyed the journey with us. Look forward to bringing it to you, and looking forward to your feedback. So thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Must be hot too.
All right, so let's talk about the show. What is the cruise lifestyle? Well, basically, it's going to be a 20 to 30 minute show uploaded each week onto YouTube. That's going to be pretty much everything about cruise. So we're going to have a few chats with various industry people about different cruise products. We're going to talk about things that are happening in the industry, and just have some fun along the way. So we'll actually have segments. We're going to feature some of the old cruise ads from years gone by, and there's some interesting ones there that probably wouldn't be shown these days. But so we're also going to have a look at some hints and tips how to make your cruising a much better experience, both before you cruise, part of the booking process, getting on board, and what happens on board as well. So we'll sort of pepper some of that throughout the various episodes as well, so that will actually sort of help you, I guess, down the track. We're also going to have a few ship reviews, so some of the ships that sort of I personally have been on and worked with, as well as some that others have contributed their reviews and all that sort of thing as well. So we'll actually feature those throughout the show. And we're also going to visit various destinations as well, some of the cruise ports around the world that are favourites and maybe not so well known for a lot of people. So actually you sort of have little highlights of those as well, and we'll feature those throughout the show. And just some of the lifestyle things, some of the things that help you cruise, like some of the fashions, accessories and things like that sort of enhance the whole sort of cruise experience, both when you're on the cruise and also when you're sort of at home and sort of hanging out for the next one. There's a whole range of stuff we're going to have on the show. So hope you enjoy, join us, subscribe, and yeah, thank you.
Take me away, lovely lady. Oh yes, yes, take me away from all of this.
Take me away, officer, kind sir. There's nothing much back home I'm gonna miss.
Take me away. Please, 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 beyond all
let's talk about our 10 question challenge. So what this is a challenge. We have a set of 10 questions, and we want you to record yourself answering those questions and send that recording back to us. So we're actually going to have a little segment on the show that will be our 10 question challenge. We'll mix up the responses from various people and things like that. What we'd love you to do is actually get onto our website, and the link will be sort of down there for you, and think about, well, don't think too hard. It's not about thinking. Just you can download this little sheet that's got the 10 questions on it. And what we want you to do is answer the 10 questions, record yourself answering the 10 questions. You can be as creative as you want with that. We're going to compile all those questions. We're actually going to run that through our shows. Please get on there and do that. As I said, link below, send it in and get it back to us. And we'd love to have you guys involved, and that's your way to sort of be part of the show as well. I know there's a lot of people. A lot of you have got a lot of experience in cruise. The 10 question challenge, keep an eye out for it, because we are going to have that in future episodes. We'll actually play some of your responses. All right, here we go. How many ships have I worked with? Wow. To be honest, I really don't know. Worked across so many brands. P&O, Princess, Holland America, Cunard, Seabourn, Silver Sea, Crystal, Azamara, Penant. I'd have to say probably at least 30, 40, maybe 50 different ships. I have no idea on that one. We'll leave that open. Okay, what was my favourite? Favourite ship, particularly over the last couple of years, and it's one sort of out of the box, would be the World. The World is a residence ship. It's not actually a cruise line as such. It's residences at sea. So all the cabins, well, they're actually more like apartments, are actually owned, and residents actually, it's almost a very exclusive timeshare type situation. They actually buy into the apartment on the ship. But yeah, that was probably the best experience I've had in terms of working with a cruise ship and just interacting with the residents and crew and all that sort of thing. So that was a really awesome experience. Best destination I have cruised. There's so many. I spoke before about my Alaska cruise, and that was just an awesome experience. There are some fabulous destinations in the South Pacific I've been to. Cruising out of New York and into New York was a highlight. And of course, cruising in and out of Sydney is just fantastic. We have a wonderful city here to cruise from. It's just a spectacular harbour. Bucket list cruise I haven't done. Couple of destinations I would really love to cruise that I haven't done as yet. One would be Antarctica, which is a very specialised expedition sort of cruise. I'd love to be able to do that. One day that'll be on the bucket list. That will be on the bucket list one day. The other one which I haven't done, which I'd really love to, is Scandinavia, up through the fjords of Norway and out of Sweden and Stockholm and Oslo and all those sort of destinations, up to Bergen and all those sort of places. That is one area I'd really love to go to. I mentioned before, cruising in and out of New York was spectacular. I did the inaugural cruise of Quantum of the Seas when Royal Caribbean first brought that out, and that was just a spectacular night. Just cruising out as the sun was setting, we cruised up New York Harbour past the Statue of Liberty, and it was just absolutely spectacular. That'll stay with me forever. And some of the pictures are just wow, just the colours. Favourite onboard cocktail have to be Toblerone. P&O do it best. A lot of places don't know how to do a Toblerone, but a great mix of Frangelico and chocolate sauce and caramel and honey, and oh, it's just sensational. It's like a chocolate milkshake almost. I'm not one. I love the onboard entertainment for most cruises is absolutely fantastic, but for me, I'm a little bit over the typical cabaret show, and my background, I guess, is more music industry, rock and roll sort of thing. I sort of grew up in the 80s and attending pub rock and all that sort of stuff, and for me, best entertainment on board was actually on Royal Caribbean. Once again, they've got on the Quantum class ships, they've got a place called Music Hall, and when I did the inaugural 2014 on Quantum the Seas, they used the Music Hall as almost like a pub venue, and they had this rock and roll band on and doing some great Thin Lizzy and Led Zeppelin and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that was my best musical experience on board entertainment. Also, some of the magic shows, as I said, some of the cabaret shows are just fantastic. Favourite non-cruise hobby? As I said before, I'm a bit of a rock and roller at heart, so I've sort of been playing guitar for quite a few years, so I enjoy doing that. Photography, a lot of the photos I use on here, and a video of my own sort of photographic exploits, I guess. And drums, love playing drums. I love hitting things, sort of within reason. One essential I would never go on a cruise without, I'd have to say my wife. She's an essential. There's so many things that help, I guess, enhance your onboard cruise experience. So, never forget your passport if you're going on an international cruise. Always keep it in your hand luggage. That's one essential. Toothbrush, that's another one. Okay, number one tip for anyone going on a cruise. Always pack your passport in your hand luggage. Make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your return date on the cruise, and you're going to have a great experience. Working at the cruise terminal, there's so many people that's not their number one priority, I guess. So visa and passport things are a must, and particularly if you're booking cruise yourself, because you don't always think about those things. So that's one advantage of having a travel agent. They can look after those sort of things, or at least remind you of those things. But having that in your hand luggage, not in your normal luggage, because if it's normal luggage and goes on board, it takes hours to get it back. Anywho, thank you for joining us today. Next week we're going to have a segment talking about travel agents. So we're actually going to catch up with Peter Collar, who's the head of training and development at Clear, And he'll talk a little bit more about what Claire is, what they do, and some of the training initiatives and stuff they have for the retail industry, and why travel agents are so valuable as part of the cruising and booking and advisory process. So stick around next week. We'll have a chat with Pete. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back next week.